Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Chassidus in the morning at 15 minutes to change our lives. Kuntres, Maamer, Gimel. Today we're going to finish it. We'll start off by giving tzedakah. There's good tzedakah, shmekreves, agaulah. And this whole series, of course, is for all the Yidden Eretz Yisroel and all the soldiers, and especially all the captives that are unfortunately still in captivity, which is crazy to believe. It's been over 100 days. If people want to know what Golus is, this is Golus. And we're going to focus on Omari ben Raaya. That Omari ben Raaya should be healthy and safe. And the true and ultimate Geula should come. Okay. So we're going to finish off this Maamer. And these Maamer have been pretty straightforward, I think. So we were discussing, the question was, seemingly, and this is it's a whole Maamer, been this whole question, seemingly, how is it possible that the Nefesh Bahamas, Nefesh Lekis, can overcome the Nefesh Bahamas? Meaning, how is it possible that we're able to overcome our inclination and do a mitzvah? That Nefesh Bahamas is old, like we said, Melech, Zaken, and Chassil, an old foolish king. He's foolish because he's the Bahamas and he wants to do foolish things. But he's old, he's been around a lot longer than us, than our Nefesh Lekis. It's a good way when I said us. When we say us, we mean our Nefesh Lekis. Even though the Nefesh Bahamas has been around for a lot longer than the Nefesh Lekis. And so that's so the question is, if he's been around for so long and really he's been training us in a certain way, Tevanasa Regulus, we just naturally you're following him. So then naturally that's where you're headed. So how is the Nefesh Lekis? Like we said, Nefesh Lekis is a young, poor, wise person. Ultimately, it's young because it come much later. And it's poor because you're trying to teach the Nefesh Bahamas, trying to get the person to not listen to Nefesh Bahamas anymore. It's a whole weird situation. And then we said, and the Nefesh Lekis comes from Tikkun, and Nefesh Bahamas comes from Toyum. So even on its source, the Nefesh Bahamas is on a high level. So from every dimension you look at it, it seems like there's no hope for the Nefesh Lekis. And that would maybe but explain why we struggle so much. And then this is the answer we can give ourselves. Meaning it's not the answer we give ourselves to justify our actions, to pater ourselves, to exempt ourselves from having to put in any effort. But it's there to stop us from beating ourselves up and saying, "Oh, I should be better." You know, it's like Lamashal, you're playing a game of sport, whatever it is, basketball, and you're playing against a very, very hard team. You're not going to come and say to yourself, a team that's been playing as a team for 12 years, and you guys come together for the first week, you're probably going to lose, and you shouldn't. And so the point is, you're getting, let's say you're getting paid to play, so you want to win, and you're trying to win. But when you lose, you're not going to say to yourself, "Oh, I'm such a loser. How did I lose this game?" Naturally, it makes sense. You're not going to win. Any team that plays together for 12 years, they're going to be good. And if one team comes together, it doesn't matter how good you are. And even more so, we're saying that the source of that team, they have, they're bigger, they're better, they're stronger. So for sure they're going to win. The fact that you're going to win sometimes is the chiddush. And that's the point. It's not that we justify ourselves, we can do whatever we want, but we have to be honest with ourselves that when we recognize that we're not always winning, it's not because necessarily we've done something wrong, which could also be, but it's also the makeup is very difficult. That's what we'll say. But now we're going to show today that really the Nefesh Lekis is on a much higher level. But let's see how it actually impacts us. The idea is the Hine, Be'emes, in truth, and Nefesh Lekis b'shar she'akedim, in its original source. Yeah, Hine Be'emes, Nefesh Lekis b'shar she'kadum el HaNefesh Bahamas. So before we said that Nefesh Bahamas is from Toyu, Nefesh Lekis is from Tikkun. Toyu is a higher level than Tikkun, and that is true. But that's on one level. On the deepest levels, the Nefesh Elokis is, as we all know, it's a Chalak Elokami Mal Mamash. On its depth, it's even on a higher level than Nefesh Hamas. The Hine conversion is by La'el. But we'll see how this is interesting. It's a little confusing, difficult. Conversion is by La'el. I'll explain that Bab in Maamer Yud Parak based. The Seder Ishtar, like for example, we gave over there about the Seder Ishtar. Its source is on a higher level than Seder Ishtar Shalus, but Pnimius Hamakif Dafka. On this Pnimius Hamakif, the inner Makif, which we talked about before. Yeah, if we remember, we talked about that and how we can't live like the person says himself, I'm going to go according to my heart's desire. I'll do it if I want, and I'll get from this makif like the guy gets, like the akum person who serves idol Hashem, and I can do the same thing and I can get it for free. So he said it doesn't work that way because we come from pnimis makif. We have a very high source, and therefore it doesn't work. We have a really deep relationship with Hashem, and He's not going to let us just go the negative route because He cares about us. Just like that's just like we just talked about there. So too toyu and tikkun. And this is going to be something very funny, interesting. That in tikkun, which is a lower level than tohu, in Seder Shtashlus, which is not really in Seder Shtashlus, but in general terms we'll say it's Seder Shtashlus. Really, tikkun is on a higher level than tohu in its source. And this is why Yaakov and Esav, we all know from the Chumash, Esav was the first one. He came out first. But now we're going to explain why really Yaakov was first. Like it's known, the Yaakov and Esav are Toyu and Tikkun. We learned about this in Hechalzon. The Esav Noilad Kedem, and Esav was born first. So it's interesting. Esav was on the level of Toyu, which is a high level, and he was born first. Which this is like in Seder Ishtashlu, so to speak, Toyu comes before Tikkun. I say so to speak because really it's not in Seder. When we talk about Seder Ishtashlu in general, we're talking about Atzilus, Bria, Tzir, and Asiyah. These four worlds. Toyu and Tikkun are much higher. So they're not really in Seder Ishtashlus like that, but in the general idea versus godliness, they are in a Seder Ishtashlus. That's what we're saying. There's Toyu and then there's Tikkun. And Toyu comes before Tikkun. Ach zeu b'chinas leda. Liz galus b'levad. But this is only, this level that Toyu is higher than Tikkun is when Toyu is sort of, when it's birth, when it comes out, so to speak, separated from Hashem. But really, in truth, Yaakov was the firstborn. So even though Yaakov came out second, even though you have Toyu and then Tikkun, so Tikkun on a low level, so it seems like it's second. But really, like Rashi explains, the Pashas told us, it says in the Pasuk, it talks about that Yaakov was holding on to the heel of Esav. And so Mashal, Rashi brings lish feiferes, like a tube. So what comes, like you have a little tube, so nichnas rishon, what comes in first, yetz achron will come out last. Yes, you have a small tube, let's say you can fit two balls inside the tube, only like they can just barely fit in. So whatever you put in first, the ball number one will come out second, back out. Because the Yaakov, Neitzar, Metipa Rishon, Yaakov was the first seed. So Yaakov came in first. So, yes, Yitzchak, so Rivka was impregnated first with Yaakov. And then the second seed, which Esav was pregnant the second. And so therefore he comes out first because it can only fit in that way. So it comes out the same. So what comes in second goes out first. And what went in first goes out second. I know. The Bishar Shay in its sauce, Yaakov hu b'chinas hatikun, shishar shay l'mayla mi'esa b'chinas toyu. So what we're seeing here is that ultimately Yaakov, which is on the low level in Tikkun, is really coming from a higher source in higher than even Toyu. Whereas Toyu is starting off in a lower, but it comes down in a higher. So essentially what we're saying is the Nefesh Elikis comes from a higher level than Nefesh Bahamas. Even though down here it looks like it's on a low level, but that's because of where its source is. Rein hu b'Nefesh Elikis and Nefesh Bahamas. And now he's going to explain this. The Nefesh Elikis, Shar Shalom Ma'ale b'Nefesh Bahamas, the Nefesh Elikis is source and higher than Nefesh Bahamas. And that gives it the ability to be able to overcome the Nefesh Bahamas. Mitzad shenimshach lekoyach al zeh misharsha akedim. And even though down here it's on a low level, it's in the level of tikkun, and Nefesh Bahamas is on toyum, and all the challenges we said that it comes later than Nefesh Elikis. The Nefesh Bahamas is there earlier, and all these things. But ultimately, the Nefesh Elikis has within it the ability because it comes from a much higher level in its source of sources. Being that its source of the Nefesh Elikis is higher than the Nefesh Bahamas, therefore automatically it has the ability to overcome it. In simple terms, even though notwithstanding what we talked about till now, how the Nefesh of Bahamas is much stronger, much older, all these things, but the Nefesh Elikis be'etzem has a much deeper level. And I guess in simple terms, we can say to ourselves, we have to recognize that even though everything we said before wasn't not true, it was all true, but we have to recognize that Nefesh Elikis, even with all the challenges, is on a high level. And that's why it has the ability to overcome all these challenges. We have to remind ourselves, we have a Nefesh Elikis. It's above all this. That's sort of the point. When you come to like tit for tat, the Nefesh Bahamas has control. But we got to remind ourselves, I'm above this. It's like I tell my kids, and they get into like little tit for tats. And talk about things that's like so stupid. So I said, why do you discuss this? Just don't and what I'm trying to tell them is this: just go above it. They no, you're her, no, and they get all like, why are we talking? Why are you saying that? Just leave it alone. Just you're above it. And this is sort of what we're saying. The Nefesh Elikis, we have to recognize I'm above this. It's surpassed. It's not befitting of me, a Nefesh Elikis, to do such things. That's how we overcome this challenge. We don't come and say, no, my Nefesh Elikis is stronger. My Nefesh Bahamas, no, I'm stronger. And you get into these arguments, so to speak, within yourself, which is basically the struggle that we have. I should really do. And Nefesh Bahamas is pulling us. That's not going to work because in that level, in the mud, the Nefesh Bahamas is strong. He's been doing this for 12 years and they've been training us this way. What we got to do is go back to our source and say, me to do that thing, me to not whatever, me to not bench, me to not wash naglavasa, me to not say Moeda'ani, me to not daven, me to not to me to listen to Goyish music, me to watch movie, whatever it is. I'm a Nefesh Elikis, my sources. I'm listening to Nefesh Bahamas. What, you think it's so great? Put your in Toyo. I'm totally lamayla in all this. And this is something we've got to train ourselves into realizing. But when you talk that way, you change the game, the ball game. It's you're one before you started. And that's that's how it works. Just like in the kid's argument, if a kid says no, and you go, I'm not having this discussion. It's done. It's finished. The discussion is finished. And this is what we do have to do in Nefesh Bahamas. You want me to do this? Me? Buddy, I'm Nefesh Elikis. You know where I come from? Don't even think about it. I'm gone. Bye. And you walk off and you do the right thing. It sounds very easy, but it really does. It works and it makes a difference. And this is how we have to treat it. Now, Im calls that Nefesh Bahamas is first, and it's been training us in a certain way for many years. Nevertheless, but being the source of the Nefesh Elikis is before this. It has the ability to overcome it. And we have to recognize inbuilt into the game, we've won. We essentially have won. And we just have to reveal that. And even though it could be challenging at times, but the way to overcome it is say, me, and this is how we have to talk to ourselves. Like, I don't want to, whatever. I don't want to bench, whatever it is. I want to watch a movie. I want to go to bed late. We didn't say that. We say, I just want to do this one thing. And then he says, 1 second, let me think about this for a second. Is it going to help me get up tomorrow in the morning? And it's like, if it's not me, I'm not going to get up in the morning. I'm going to sleep in. I'm going to snooze my alarm. Me, I'm a nefesh lekis. That's not happening. I'm above that. I'm a person that gets up. And even though you haven't gotten up forever, but you say to yourself, me? You know what my source is? Of course I'm getting up. And when we do that to ourselves, it might be in the beginning fake, but it's not really fake. But it might feel that way. You do it anyway, and you'll see. It will change us. It will change. It'll have that desired effect. To be this is also for rain can have forever, but we got to stop. It's a kitzer. And nefesh b'hamis shesharshay mitoyu nefesh b'hamis that its source is in toyu ba el ha'adam koil nefesh lekis comes to the person before the nefesh lekis. V'sharshay mi'atikun, whereas the nefesh lekis is source is in tikun. But umishtarish behergelim gufnim animshachim b'tivam el ha'chumrius, and because it's there before and it's been around for longer, so it's pulling us to these natural physical desires. Toyu kodim el atikun. Toyu comes before tikun, beis galus in a revealed sense, in this revealed world. But b'sharsham hatikun kind of really, but in its source, tikun comes from before. Lachin therefore b'koyach nefesh lekis is in the power of nefesh lekis leis gaba nefesh b'hamis to overcome nefesh b'hamis. So, and notwithstanding everything we said till now, what we're showing is that ultimately the nefesh lekis is really can win. Not just it can win easily, but we just have to recognize where it comes from and tap into that level. Anyway, to be continued. Have an amazing day.